Chapter 2703. The person with the weakest mental strength was the first to faint on the ground. Ting couldn't sit still anymore as he watched the researchers in the laboratory fall one by one. He was about to do something when the door was suddenly pushed open. Lu Xiaoyang smiled as he brought his men in. Major General He, leave this to me. You've made a contribution. You can leave now. At this moment, Tangwa stopped absorbing the mental strength. She pretended to be hit by the impact and fainted. Her face even paled a little. She had no choice. She didn't look very well because of the blood draw. But she had absorbed a lot of mental strength just now and had nourished herself greatly. Her face was a little rosy. Because she was lying down and there were researchers around her, the door and walls of the laboratory had the ability to block mental strength to prevent people from interfering with the experiment. Therefore, Ting didn't notice anything unusual about her at all. He only thought that there was something wrong with the researchers. Even these researchers didn't know that Tangwa had absorbed their mental strength. Now, Tangwa was the first to faint. Her face was still pale. The researchers who hadn't fainted saw that Tangwa was also unconscious. Her situation was worse than theirs, so they didn't suspect anything. They hurriedly opened the door of the laboratory and Lu Xiaoyang walked in with his men. You've worked hard. Leave the rest to me. In the face of Lu Xiaoyang's appearance, these researchers had no right to refute. This was the president's youngest son. It seemed that this little girl was going to be taken away. Lu Xiaoyang had a smile on his face. He gave the people around him a look and asked them to carry Tangwa. At this moment, a figure suddenly barged into the laboratory and hugged Tangwa. Everyone looked carefully and realized that this person was actually Tang Qingru. Ting was also a little surprised. He didn't expect Tang Qingru to actually want to take Tangwa away at this time. Mrs. He, what are you doing? Lu Xiaoyang's smile didn't change. You should know that this concerns the survival of the entire galaxy. So, you should put her down and let my men take her away. She's my daughter. Tang Qingru didn't hesitate, and there was no fear in her eyes. There was only determination on her cold face. Also, don't call me Madam He. Please call me Colonel Tang. All right, Colonel Tang, you should know that she's not your daughter. This matter actually has nothing to do with you. If I say so, then so be it. If I don't allow you to take it away, then don't take it away. Tang Qingru diverted some of her attention to observe Tangwa in her arms. She found that her little face was pale and her eyebrows were slightly knitted. It seemed that her spiritual power had been damaged. If he fell into Lu Xiaoyang's hands, he would probably continue to be experimented on. At that time, he would be crippled. At least, in terms of blood relationship, you're not mother and daughter. You should be very clear about that, right? Lu Xiaoyang wasn't angry. In his opinion, Tang Qingru was dreaming if she wanted to take Tangwa away. This has nothing to do with you. Facing Tang Qingru who couldn't communicate with him, Lu Xiaoyang stopped smiling. Major General Tang, you should know that you can't leave with this little— Oh no, you can't leave with your daughter. She's in my arms now. It's even more impossible for you to use her for experiments. Then let's wait for a few thousand years. Let's see who can wait longer. Chapter 2704. Lu Xiaoyang had never thought that this was a difficult woman to deal with. Now, he felt that this was the most difficult woman to deal with in the galaxy. If it was anything else, he could use military orders to restrain her. However, he couldn't use military orders for this matter. This woman didn't seem to want to give in. Even military orders wouldn't work. Women and men, Tang Qingru and Ting, were still a little different. Women always paid attention to relationships. As the old saying went, women were soft-hearted and had women's views. Only women would be soft-hearted. No wonder the previous rulers were more men. Tang Qingru had level 1 spiritual power and was very familiar with the use of spiritual power. Now that Tangwa was in the other party's hands, it would be difficult to do anything drastic. Especially now, he couldn't let others know that Tangwa was Tang Qianqian's daughter. If this matter was exposed, it would be very disadvantageous to him. After all, he wasn't the only candidate for the heir of the Universe Alliance Empire. There were many others. If Tangwa's existence was known by others, she wouldn't fall into his hands. Then, the results of the research would be too disadvantageous for him in terms of merits or his own interests. Therefore, Tang Qingru wasn't afraid of blowing things up, but he was. Colonel Tang, tell me, what do you want? Tang Qingru looked up and said seriously, I want to bring my daughter home. She's talented and has delayed her classes for a long time. This isn't good for her future. As a mother, my duty is to make sure that she grows up well while being healthy. But Colonel Tang, as a mother, you're also a soldier of the Universe Alliance Empire. Your duty is to protect the peace of the Empire. I protect the peace of the Empire because the Empire can protect us. Once the Empire I protect bullies us, there's no need to continue protecting it. Colonel Tang, do you know what you're saying? Tang Qingru's expression didn't change. I know. I'm saying what's on my mind. All of Lu Xiaoyang's tolerance was broken today. This woman was really too difficult to deal with. I can promise you that I won't hurt her. This was his biggest concession. He tried his best to keep this little girl from getting hurt while experimenting. Tang Qingru's gaze instinctively landed on He Ting's face. Her cold voice was filled with sarcasm. Even her father doesn't dare to make such a promise. What right do you have to make such a promise? Lu Xiaoyang was speechless. Actually, giving her to me is the best choice. If my brothers find out, her situation will be even worse. Colonel Tang, you should understand. I only know that you are all people who want to hurt my daughter, including Major General He Ting, who was called out again, said, perhaps it's best to hand it over to 7th young master. After saying that, he received Tang Qingru's gaze that seemed to want to eat him up. This made him a little uncomfortable. Even if this woman was very cold, the way she looked at him in the past was definitely not like this. It was like a sharp knife, making him feel cold. Major General He, as her father, do you have the right to speak? Host, why don't you just acknowledge her as your biological mother? She's a proper biological mother. She's handsome and cares about you. Her personality is a little cold, but I think she's treating you well, not just because of your talent. Just in terms of talent alone, there were many talented children in the Empire, and there were even some who were at the top. Chapter 2705. The two sides were in a stalemate in the laboratory. No matter what Lu Xiaoyang said, Tang Qingru didn't give in at all. Tanguo was being hugged by her, so Lu Xiaoyang didn't dare to really do anything. If things got out of hand, it would be disadvantageous to him. He also realized that Tang Qingru must know his situation, which was why she was so fearless. This made him angry and helpless. Major General He, please persuade her. You should know that handing your daughter to me is the best choice. If I can find out about this, others will soon find out too. By then, they won't be as easy to talk to as I am. Since he couldn't persuade Tang Qingru, Lu Xiaoyang turned his attention to He Ting. He Ting shook his head this time. I'm sorry, 7th young master. I can't persuade her. Isn't she your wife? Aren't you husband and wife? Why can't you persuade her? Can't you just coax her? He Ting didn't have any status in the family if he couldn't even handle a woman. He Ting opened his mouth and looked at Tang Qingru, who was vigilantly protecting Tanguo. He didn't know what to say. Although they had been married for 7 years and were husband and wife in name, they didn't have any feelings for each other, let alone be intimate. He used to be very satisfied with Tang Qingru's tactfulness. She never caused trouble for him. Now he had a headache. If they had a better relationship in the past, things might not be like this. Tang Qingru saw He Ting's behavior. There was no other expression on her cold face. She looked down at Tanguo. Seeing that her face wasn't as pale as before, she heaved a sigh of relief. Tanguo opened her eyes at the right time. She looked at Tang Qingru and said, Mom, are you here to take me home? Tang Qingru's voice was still cold and even a little stiff. Xiaoguo, if you're tired, sleep for a while. I'll take you home. Tosi, acknowledge your biological mother. It wasn't easy to meet such a mother. Tanguo. When did her Tongzi become like this? Tanguo was like a real child. She grabbed Tang Qingru's clothes tightly. Mom, I don't want to stay in the laboratory. They took a lot of my blood every day. Previously, they even scanned my spiritual power. I felt like my brain was going to explode. I told Dad that I was in pain and wanted to go home, but Dad didn't answer me. Tang Qingru couldn't help but raise her head and look at He Ting, who was standing outside. She touched Tang Guo's head and said, "Don't go out with your father in the future. Although you're still young, there are some things I have to tell you. Your father might not love you as much as you think." Although it was very cruel if she told the little girl that her father loved her. Then, in the future, He Ting might use his father's identity to hurt her. Rather than this, it would be better to break up the relationship between the father and daughter. At least, she would not be hurt because of the father's love. She knew that He Ting was a cold person, so she didn't have any hope that he would have fatherly love for her. "Mom, you just need to remember that you can't trust your father easily. If you go out in the future and he wants to see you, don't go out alone. Either you tell me, or you take 2 men with you." Tang Qingru's words were a slap to He Ting's face. He asked someone to take your blood because he wanted to analyze a special substance from it. Chapter 2706. He promised the people in the laboratory to experiment on your spiritual power. That was because they couldn't analyze the substance they needed in your blood, so they attacked your spiritual power. Tang Qingru completely ignored He Ting's objection and told Tang Guo the truth. "If you continue the experiment, it will have a great impact on your spiritual power. In serious cases, you might even be crippled." Seeing the little girl's incredulous expression, Tang Qingru lowered her eyes and stopped talking. Soon she continued, "I really want you to have a father who loves you, but Xiaoguo, unfortunately, your father doesn't care about you. So, I will do my best to protect you as you grow up." Tang Qingru tightened her grip on Tang Guo, but she might not be able to protect her. Just as Lu Xiaoyang had said, once more people found out about this. There were many people who wanted to snatch Xiaoguo, but Tang Qingru couldn't protect her. Tang Qingru, had gone on countless missions and killed countless mutant creatures that had invaded the human race. Even when his life was in danger and he was on the brink of death, he had never felt so helpless. "I have a suggestion," Lu Xiaoyang suddenly said. "Actually, I want your daughter because of that special ability. However, the probability of your daughter carrying that ability is very small. We all know that. It's just that we can't bring Tang Qianqian back now, so we have no choice but to attack her. Actually, you all know that anyone who knows about this will choose to do this." Lu Xiaoyang ignored the coldness from Tang Qingru. "As long as Tang Qianqian comes back, I promise I won't touch her. If Tang Qianqian is here, you won't be in the mood to stand in front of me." Everyone understood what Tang Qingru meant. If Tang Qianqian was here, everyone would probably be busy asking her to help grow new plants. Even if they wanted to do experiments, they would at most draw some blood. They wouldn't do too much experiments on Tang Qianqian. After all, Tang Qianqian represented a true new life. If something went wrong, it would be too late to regret it. Where there's a will, there's a way. Aren't you unwilling to let your daughter do experiments? As long as you can get Tang Qianqian back, I won't have any ideas about your daughter. Not only won't I have any ideas about your daughter, but I'll also help you keep the secret," Lu Xiaoyang said with a grin. The gloominess on his face disappeared. "How is it?" "Nothing much. If you want to find Tang Qianqian, that's your business. Why are you threatening me with such conditions?" Tang Qingru didn't take the bait at all. "I think you guys are dreaming. Whether I can find Tang Qianqian or not, you guys have one. If you can't find her, you can still use Xiaoguo as an experiment. If you find her, you will have Tang Qianqian. I'll stay here and not move. If worse comes to worst, I'll just fight to the death. Anyway, it's incomparably painful to let Xiaoguo do the experiment. I might as well fight here." The smile on Lu Xiaoyang's face disappeared again. He really didn't expect this woman's brain to work so fast. "Seventh young master, do you have news about Tang Qianqian?" He Ting suddenly asked. Otherwise, Lu Xiaoyang wouldn't have mentioned this suddenly. There must be something else. Lu Xiaoyang said, "A little. I know where she is, but it won't be easy to bring her back. After all, the people who took her are of high status, and they're in the territory of the Cosmic Alliance Empire. If we fight, we won't be able to gain the upper hand. We might even lose all of our people. Also." Chapter 2707. Hearing this, He Ting knew that things weren't simple. Also, this woman's life is very good. Enlin treats her well. From the news we received, Enlin plans to marry this woman as his wife. Even if her spiritual power is trash, her ability alone is enough to be his wife. If Enlin really marries her as his wife, he might be the next Luo Alliance Empire. Lu Xiaoyang glanced at He Ting. Major General she's your woman after all. Don't you have any thoughts? I also heard that she wasn't willing and seemed to miss you. I heard that this woman used to be infatuated with you. She must have agreed to that matter because she liked you a lot. Hearing this, He Ting didn't have any reaction. At this moment, he didn't like this woman at all. The only thing he knew about this woman was that her talent was very important. Major General come over for a moment. Actually, I have an idea. Perhaps, there's a chance for that woman to cooperate and bring her back. From what I know, she's actually quite free. She has a lot of say with Enlin. It's a bit difficult to do something, but it's also easy to say. Most importantly, she has a few loyal followers by her side. He Ting and Lu Xiaoyang went out. Not long after, they came back. We've already thought of another way. Perhaps we can bring Tang Chanqian back, Lu Xiaoyang said. But before that, you can't leave casually. Also, I hope that your daughter can provide a bit of blood for my researchers every day. That's not too much, right? We can go nowhere. It's impossible to draw blood. Tang Qingru didn't give in at all. Once she gave in, she could only give in step by step. Lu Xiaoyang wasn't a person who followed the rules and kept his word. Because of this, Lu Xiaoyang had a headache. Seventh young master has already given in a lot. It's just a bit of blood, He Ting also said and looked at Tanggua, who was in Tang Qingru's arms. Xiaogua, I promise. Tanggua found it funny but hesitated on the surface. Tang Qingru grabbed her hand. Don't believe them. Children were indeed easy to coax. Tang Qingru only felt that Lu Xiaoyang and He Ting were despicable and shameless. Colonel Tang, you won't let us wait here in vain. You have to give us some hope, right? Only a little? Tanggua asked. She definitely had to draw blood. If she didn't draw blood, how could the virus she injected spread? Then all her efforts would be in vain. Only a little bit, I promise. Just as many test tubes the size of a finger. Tang Qingru wasn't willing to do that, but Tanggua didn't have time to think about it. She was a child. It shouldn't be a problem for her to coax Tang Qingru another day. System. Seriously, anyone can be coaxed. The host is really shameless. In the end, Tanggua and Tang Qingru stayed in a closed room for the time being and couldn't go anywhere. After her blood was drawn, Tang Qingru kept a cold face and didn't communicate with her. But even so, he still held her hand. This time, Tanggua coaxed her for a long time. In the end, he found a relatively mature reason for Tang Qingru to speak. You agreed because you were afraid that they would make things difficult for me, not because of He Ting? Tanggua nodded repeatedly. She was afraid that Tang Qingru wouldn't be able to win if they quarreled. It shouldn't hurt to draw a little blood. Chapter 2708. And with mommy watching, they won't dare to draw too much blood. Unlike daddy, he won't stop them no matter how much blood they draw. Tang Qingru saw the sadness in the little girl's eyes and instantly understood. Even though the little girl was only 7 years old, she wasn't an ordinary child. She was smart and couldn't really not understand anything. I'll protect you. Tang Qingru did her best. When they were locked in the sealed space, He Ting had already set off to carry out his and Lu Xiaoyang's plan. At the same time, the laboratory would draw a small tube of Tanggua's blood every day. They didn't know that when the blood came into contact with the air, it would instantly emit a virus that would attach to the human body. These viruses would be brought out of the laboratory and spread. In a short period of time, they didn't see any problems for the time being. But after 2 months, the situation changed. The plants that had started to wither slowly started to wither rapidly in some places. Basically, all of them would die in one night. Because this happened on the main planet of the Cosmos Alliance, everyone took it very seriously. They started to study those plants, but it was impossible to make any progress in such a short period of time. But the plants continued to wither. The system had been paying attention to the situation outside. At night, it even took pictures of the withered plants. At first, he thought that it was the invasion of the strange virus, but later he found out that it wasn't like that. Because he caught the source of the virus. It was actually released from the laboratory. Madam Host, there are a lot of plants outside that have withered. Even some of the trees on the streets have died overnight. It's about time. System, okay, he knew that it was his dear host who did it. This was too ruthless. Really, what the other party was afraid of happened. Back to Billy and Emmanuel's side, the plot was too strong. They still met Tang Chanqian. When Emmanuel met Tang Chanqian, it was Nalan's admirers who were bullying Tang Chanqian. In order to keep Tang Chanqian's identity a secret, Nalan had identified Tang Chanqian as the woman he liked. This made countless admirers unhappy. At that time, Tang Chanqian was bullied by those admirers and fell from the high platform. According to the plot, Emmanuel would definitely run over to catch the beautiful Asian girl. Although Emmanuel did not know Tang Chanqian, he could guess a little from the various news sources. When Tang Chanqian fell from the high platform, he didn't rush over to catch her. Instead, he subconsciously took a step back. Tangua had told him the plot, and Anyurin would appear. Sure enough, without him, Enlin successfully caught Tang Chanqian even though she was a little far away. He was relieved that Emmanuel and Tang Chanqian had avoided contact with each other. Every day, he was worried that he would meet the school bell's mother. It was really frightening. Perhaps it was Emmanuel's cold look that attracted Tang Chanqian's attention. She didn't have any other thoughts. She was just curious. Emmanuel, I feel like you're different from them. Emmanuel, no, he's the same as everyone else. There's really nothing special about him. Please stop looking at him. He really couldn't bear it. He didn't want to die, and he didn't want his family to be humiliated. He didn't want to lose his mind for the sake of the school bell's mother. He didn't want his IQ to drop, and he didn't dare to be the school bell's stepfather. Chapter 2709. They were all staring at me curiously. They were either curious about me, or they didn't like me, or they hated me, or... But you... Hey, Emmanuel, I haven't finished yet. Why did you... Tang Chanqian looked at Emmanuel's back and muttered, "You're really different. I've never met anyone who ran away as if I was going to eat them." After Tang Chanqian said he was different, Emmanuel was so scared that he immediately went back to the lab and didn't come out for a long time. He knew the main plot, so he planned to stay there until Tang Chanqian left the Luoluo Alliance Empire. It was too scary. If he didn't pay attention, he would be targeted by the school bell's mother. It was really scary. In addition, he also told Billy about this matter. "Billy, you guys really met?" "Emmanuel, Billy, let me tell you. Although I've been trying to avoid meeting her, I don't know why, but we still met that day." It was exactly what the school bell said about the plot. Now I finally understand what the school bell meant when she said the plot was very powerful. Anyway, I won't come out to drink with you for a while. You have to be careful. I don't dare to meet the school bell's mother. I'm scared to death. You know what? If I didn't know the plot, I would have rushed over to save a woman when I saw her fall from such a high place. Then you know, Billy's face on the screen was very serious. I know, Billy. As the general of the Luoluo Alliance Empire, I will do my best to overcome this difficulty. I won't let my soldiers die because of a woman. I won't bring shame to my family, and I won't let the people of the Empire down. Emmanuel, hey Billy, I'll hang up first. Anyway, you have to be careful. I don't dare to go out for a while. Billy, who had hung up with Emmanuel, had a very serious expression. General Billy, you look a bit pale. Did a strange creature suddenly attack you? Billy's adjutant saw Billy sitting in his seat with a heavy expression and subconsciously asked. Then he refuted in his heart. If a xenogenic creature was going to attack at this time, Billy would have told everyone to prepare for battle. He wouldn't be sitting there thinking. Billy shook his head. However, although this is not the time for large numbers of mutant creatures to attack humans, you must strengthen your defenses. You must not give them the slightest chance to attack and harm the people of the Empire. Yes, I understand. The aide-de-camp felt strange. Since a while ago, General Billy had become more serious about killing xenogenic creatures and guarding the border. He had become stricter with his subordinates. Of course, this was a good thing, so they had no complaints. By the way, what can I do for you? The adjutant also remembered the reason why he came to see Billy. It's like this, General Billy. Just now, your family said that they couldn't contact you. They asked me to tell you to reply to them when you're free. Just now, Billy was talking to Emmanuel. Earlier, he had indeed felt that there were other signals connecting, but he had ignored them. Soon, Billy managed to contact his family. The person who appeared on the screen was his mother, a very elegant woman. My Billy, you finally replied to me. Chapter 27:10. Billy asked, Mom, what's the matter? Billy, when are you coming home? I remember that this isn't the time for the alien creatures to invade. Also, I remember that you applied for a vacation a while ago. Why aren't you back yet? Billy said, I canceled my vacation. But, Billy, you can't cancel your vacation. It won't take up too much of your time. You should apply for a few days of vacation first. Billy felt that something was wrong. Mom, what's the matter? Here's the thing, Billy. Using the old saying from the Cosmos Alliance Empire, you're not young anymore. You're already several hundred years old. Your elder brothers and younger brothers are all married. Your younger brother's son, my little grandson, already has a girl he likes. But Billy, what's wrong with you? It's been so many years. Why haven't you brought back a beautiful daughter-in-law for me? Billy raised his eyebrows. So, I've found a few good girls for you. Come back and take a look. If you like them, you can get married, Billy. Billy said, what if they don't like me? My Billy, don't worry. The girls I've picked for you will all be satisfied with you. So, it's fine as long as you're satisfied. Billy, is that even possible? Looking at Billy's confused face, Billy's mother was speechless. Her Billy was so outstanding that he had no idea how many girls in the entire Luoluo Alliance Empire were willing to be his wife. But her son was like an emotionless weapon. He was only interested in the alien creatures. If there was a good-looking girl among the alien creatures, perhaps Billy wouldn't be single anymore. Billy's mother was delusional. I don't think I need a wife right now. No matter what Billy's mother said, he refused. He felt that it was better to stay on a border planet. It was better to resist the alien creatures here than to be targeted by the school bell. Resisting the alien creatures was his duty. It was also something he liked to do. But meeting the school bell's mother would be a disaster for him. Billy's mother was a bit disappointed, but she didn't force him. She only asked him to think about it for 2 more days. After the signal was cut off, Billy heaved a sigh of relief. At this time, he definitely couldn't go back to the main planet. After all, the school bell's mother was there. It was too dangerous. However, Billy's happiness didn't last long. He soon received news that Prince Anurin would come to the border planet for some unknown reason. It just so happened that he was in charge of Planet Lika. Anurin was an ambitious person, but this had little to do with him. But he clearly remembered that the school bell's mother was currently with Anurin, right? Billy quickly connected to Billy's mother's personal terminal. Mom, I think I should listen to you and try to meet those beautiful girls. What if I meet someone I like? I really shouldn't reject you. Billy, Mom? Billy's application for vacation went smoothly. Although Anurin's arrival would cause a certain amount of commotion here, However, the other parties seemed to be very low-key. Not many people knew about it, and there was no need for a general to take care of him. Coincidentally, on the day he left, he bumped into Annalyn and Tang Chanxian who came with him. Annalyn had brought Tang Chanxian to this place to cultivate plants. Chapter 27:11. There were too many eyes on the main planet, so it was very eye-catching. Moreover, they still had to conduct other experiments. In addition, they also wanted to confirm whether Tang Chanxian's ability could allow plants to survive in such a harsh environment. Therefore, they chose the area that Billy was responsible for. On this border planet, most of the plants had withered. The resources that the soldiers needed had to be supplied from other places. If plants could grow here and slowly restore life on this planet, then Tang Chanxian's existence would bring a huge change to the Luoluo Alliance Empire. Now that Billy's application for a vacation was so smooth, it was inevitable that Annalyn played a role in it. Billy was indeed a loyal general of the Empire, but he was not one of his people. Now that Billy took the initiative to take a vacation, he could not be happier. Instead, he thought that Billy was not willing to participate and made room for him. "General Billy, it's really a pity that you're going to take a vacation as soon as I arrived." Although he was overjoyed, and Lin still said politely, Billy's face was tense. He only glanced at Tang Qianqian, who was looking at him curiously from the corner of his eye. He quickly retracted his gaze. "It's indeed a pity. Since the eldest prince is here, please help yourself. They should be able to entertain the eldest prince well." Is he General Billy? The hero of the Luo Alliance Empire, the idol of all the young girls. I heard that those young girls all want to be his wife. Tang Qianqian was indeed curious. After all, she had never come into contact with such a person before. Moreover, this General Billy looked very strange. It was as if he was unwilling to look at her. Just like Emmanuel, he avoided her gaze as if she was some kind of jackal, tiger, or leopard that wanted to eat people. She also knew that her talent would move many people's hearts. Those who knew this looked at her very eagerly. From the eldest prince and Lin, she knew that Emmanuel and this General Billy should know that she carried that talent. That was why she felt strange. Those who knew her looked at her as if they really wanted to snatch her away. At this time, not only was Billy's face tense, but his entire body was tense. As expected, Emmanuel did not lie to him. The school bell's mother was really scary. She actually looked at him with such a special gaze. "Actually, I went back for a blind date this time. I heard from my mother that she introduced me to a young lady and asked me to go back and take a look." Billy felt that he had to make it clear to his mother that he was about to go on a blind date, so she should not look at him with such a strange gaze. Even if he saw it 10,000 times, he wouldn't have the slightest bit of admiration or infatuation for her. Yes, he was going on a blind date. He might meet a very beautiful and gentle girl, and then this girl would become his wife. "Congratulations, General Billy. Maybe the next time we meet, you'll be a bridegroom." When she found out that Billy was going back for a blind date and had no ulterior motives for Tang Qianqian, and Lin was a little happy. He coveted Tang Qianqian's talent, but after interacting with her, he had already fallen in love with her. If someone had designs on her, he would be very, very angry. After leaving the border planet, Billy let out a sigh of relief and quickly connected to Emmanuel's signal. Chapter 27:12. Just like you said, the school bell's mother is really scary. Her eyes make me very uneasy. Emmanuel asked, "So, did you see her?" Billy said, "I did. Although the plot changed a little, we still saw her." He remembered that Tangwa told him that in the plot, he listened to his mother and went back. When he returned, he happened to be on the same road as Enlin, so he naturally met Tang Qianqian. Then, he devoted his heart to her and it was a tragedy. Emmanuel asked, "What about you now?" Billy said, "I think what my mother said is very reasonable. I should meet more young girls. That way, I won't fall in love with the school bell's mother like in the plot." "Emmanuel," Billy said, "I'm on my way home. I'll listen to my mother and meet some young and cute girls. If I can meet a girl I like this time, I plan to get married. As a responsible soldier, since I'm married, I won't think about other things. I'll treat my wife well for the rest of my life." "Emmanuel," Billy said, "actually, Emmanuel, you can try to meet some young and cute girls. Maybe you'll find one you like soon." "Emmanuel, maybe I can try?" "No, forget it." When Tangwa asked about Tang Qianqian, she also asked about Emmanuel and Billy. When she learned that Billy was going on blind dates every day, she was dumbfounded. "Blind dates?" Emmanuel said, "After seeing your mother that day, Billy was scared out of his wits. He didn't plan to go home at first, but now he's obsessed with blind dates. He wants to meet all kinds of young and cute girls to find his true love. He meets at least 3 or 4 girls a day. Sometimes he meets 7 or 8. Did you know? When I heard that Billy was going on blind dates, all the girls in the Luo Alliance Empire went crazy." Tangwa. "Billy, this man was poisonous?" "System, not only poisonous, it was highly poisonous." Tangwa said, "So, my mother is on planet Lika now, helping Anlin with his plant breeding experiment?" "That's right." The reason why this matter had always been handled by An Lin and hadn't been escalated to the Empire. That was because once the Empire intervened, it would no longer be a small matter. Tang Qianqian was a member of the Tang family of the Cosmos Alliance Empire, which was not a small family. At that time, the Cosmos Alliance Empire would have an excuse to force them to hand Tang Qianqian over. Right now, Annalin's actions were actually supported by the Luo Luo Alliance, but on the surface, it was considered his own actions. Similarly, if the Great Universe Alliance Empire found out, they could only rely on their own abilities to snatch people away. It would not escalate into a war between the two empires. This was undoubtedly something that both sides had tacitly agreed upon. Emmanuel, school beauty, why haven't the people of the Cosmic Alliance Empire come to snatch your mother? Are they lost? Tanghua, the system thought. This guy has something to do with poison as well. It seems like he wants to give the other party directions. It was not that Emmanuel did not think that Tang Qianqian was not important, but since he knew the plot, what was there to worry about? Wasn't there still the school bell? The school bell was too powerful. He could never go against her. If he really did that, it would be really stupid. Therefore, it was best for Tang Qianqian to return to the Cosmos Alliance Empire. They should be there soon. Don't worry, Mr. Plotline is very powerful. After all, my mother is the female lead and my father is the male lead. They will definitely meet. Emmanuel, then I'll stay in the lab for now. It's too dangerous outside. I'm a little scared. There was no way he would go on blind dates. He was not as shameless as Billy, who went to see young girls every day. Chapter 27:13. After cutting off the signal with Emmanuel, Tanghua continued to eat and drink as usual. The people in the laboratory were getting busier and busier. They hadn't come to draw her blood for 3 days. This made her feel a little regretful. It seemed that this virus was destined to not spread too far. However, the current situation was enough to make the other party suffer. Everyone in the laboratory looked very tired, especially Lu Xiaoyang. His expression was very serious. Recently, Lu Xiaoyang had talked to He Ting many times. He told He Ting to bring Tang Qianqian back. The previous virus hadn't been solved and now a new virus had appeared. This was something he didn't expect at all. Another thing was that the researchers who did the spiritual power experiment on Tanghua realized that their spiritual power was almost crippled after they recovered. Thus, even if they wanted to study Tanghua again, they didn't dare to do anything because of Tang Qingru's protection and the few people who were crippled previously. Mom, did something happen outside? They look very anxious. Tang Qingru said, maybe. Is Xiaogua worried about something? No, I just want to read. I haven't finished reading the mecha information you sent me before. Wait a little longer. No matter what, I will bring you out. If Tang Qianqian couldn't be brought back, she could only use other methods to bring Xiaogua out. A month later, no one knew what method He Ting used, but he finally brought Tang Qianqian back. After Tang Qianqian left the Luo Luo Alliance Empire, Emmanuel left the laboratory. Billy, who kept going on blind dates and even extended his vacation, also ended his blind date trip. Although those young girls were very cute and nice, it was a pity that he didn't find his true love. Tang Qianqian was brought back. Tang Qingru and Tanghua were finally free. Tang Qingru brought Tanghua home. She didn't expect to see Tang Qianqian at home. She glanced at He Ting, who was standing at the side. Before she could say anything, He Ting spoke. She wants to see Xiaogua. Tang Qingru's voice was still cold. Got it. She let go of Tanghua's hand. Now that she's back, Major General He, don't have any ideas about Xiaogua anymore. I know. Tang Qingru turns to go upstairs. Tanghua pulls her. Mom, didn't you say that you can't let me be alone with Dad? What if Dad takes me out again? Although he didn't have any feelings for his daughter, He Ting still felt a little upset when he heard this. Tang Qianqian's eyes were fixed on Tanghua. Her eyes turned red as she stared at Tanghua. This adorable little girl was her daughter. Ever since she gave birth to her daughter, she had never seen her. She did not expect that her daughter would suffer because of her talent. This made Tang Qianqian blame herself. If she had been more careful, her daughter would not have suffered so much. This time, Your father probably won't hurt you, Tang Qingru said. In fact, she knew that the child would soon find out who her biological mother was. In order to protect Tang Chanxian, those people would also discuss a way to make the Luo Alliance Empire's people not dare to come and snatch her away, whether it was openly or secretly. She no longer liked He Ting as much as she did in the past, so she had no regrets. As for Tang Chanxian, she did not have any special hatred towards her and did not care much about her. Chapter 27:14. Speaking of which, Tang Chanxian was more pitiful. However, this woman was a little stupid. She was snatched and used by others. It was as if she didn't learn her lesson and didn't mind at all. Perhaps being a little stupid would make her happier. After Tang Chanxian saw Tangua, she looked at her eagerly. Because of her identity, perhaps because someone had warned her, she didn't dare to show anything. In less than 2 days, the He family and family Tang sat together to discuss this matter. The matter was already out in the open. It wasn't something that Lu Xiaoyang could decide. However, when the time came, he would still be in charge of the cultivation of the plants. He would have some say in it. The two families decided that with Tang Chanxian's current role, they had to give her an important identity so that the Luo Alliance Empire wouldn't dare to touch her. After discussing, the two families decided to use the matter of Tang Chanxian bringing back to promote He Ting to a military position and let Tang Chanxian marry He Ting. Didn't they have a daughter? As for the reason, they could just find a few. After all, public opinion was controlled by them. The Tang family didn't mind letting Tang Chanxian marry someone else, but the He family did. Thus, this matter was decided. Of course, this matter had to be approved by Tang Qingru. It would be troublesome if she made a fuss. Tang Qingru, I don't have any objections. I'm willing to break off the engagement on my own. However, I have a condition. No matter what happens to Tang Chanxian in the future, you are not allowed to use Xiaogua as an experiment. Once you break the agreement, I, Tang Qingru, will put my words here today. At that time, I will take my mecha and detonate it on the main planet as a reward for breaking my promise. Tang Qingru's words shocked everyone. When they heard her condition, they heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Tang Qingru really cared about Tangua. Since Tang Chanxian was back, it was no problem for them to agree to this condition. After Tang Qingru broke off the engagement with He Ting, she quickly married Tang Chanxian. Naturally, Tangua was also told her true identity. She showed the confusion of a child appropriately. Of course, she didn't forget to show resistance towards He Ting. On the day when Tang Qingru packed her luggage and left, Tangua stopped her at the gate. Mom, you should know that I'm not your mother. Tang Qingru reached out her hand and finally placed it on her head. You should call me Aunt. But I still want to call you Mom. There seemed to be snowflakes melting in Tang Qingru's cold eyes. The corners of her lips curled up like a flash in the pan. Then it's up to you. You can come and play with me in the future. Tangua's life didn't change much, but the addition of Tang Chanxian made the whole house lively. She only acted like a child and let Tang Chanxian understand that she did not like this father. Tang Chanxian said it twice, but later found that it was useless. She was afraid that she would make her angry, so she didn't say much. At this time, her grade was going to organize a collective planet exploration, so she had the opportunity to go out. A few days ago, the system had told her that it had captured a mysterious aura. If her guess was correct, it should be the source of the virus. Since they were going to explore a certain planet, she planned to go and see what was going on. So, when they were exploring a certain planet, she sneaked away when no one was paying attention. That place was not too far from here. Chapter 27:15. Madam Host, the aura I finally sensed came from this place. But now that I'm here, I can't tell what it is because the mysterious aura is everywhere on this planet. But I'm sure that the thing that caused those plants to wither definitely came from this abandoned planet. Although the system thought that it was a very powerful system, none of the systems it had met so far could beat it. But it wasn't arrogant enough to think that it could scan everything. Even the great host didn't think that she was the best. Therefore, she had to always remember that there was always someone better than her. There must be a system that was even better than her. Madam Host, be careful. I'm not sure what it is. The Madam Host is still a 7 or 8-year-old girl. No matter how powerful she is, she can't be compared to an adult. The system was a little worried about her small arms and legs. Tangua flew the aircraft around the abandoned planet. With her extraordinary spiritual power, she had already captured the other party's location. She didn't know whether the other party had discovered her or not, but she had prepared Margaret's teleportation talisman. Once there was a crisis, she would move away immediately. She wouldn't drag it out. When she arrived at a certain valley, she was a little surprised. Compared to the abandoned planet, this place was completely different. They could actually see some fresh and lush plants. Although there were very few of them, it gave people a very strange feeling. Based on the situation in the galaxy, she had already guessed that the thing that caused the plants to wither wasn't some terrifying virus, but something else. But other than some plants that were growing well, there were no other living creatures. Under her puzzled gaze, she kept scanning the surroundings with her spiritual power. Finally, her gaze landed on a smooth and round stone. She narrowed her eyes slightly. Although she didn't dare to believe it, she was sure that the smooth and round stone was the source of the mysterious aura. She walked up to the stone. The stone was about half the size of a fist. It was completely black and had a very smooth surface. The patterns on it looked like they had grown in the sky. She had to admit that this stone was quite beautiful, even though it was black. She hesitated for a moment. She didn't feel any danger from this stone. Finally, she reached out and picked it up. Seeing that there was some dirt on it, she took out her handkerchief to wipe it. What a smooth and round stone. Madam Host, are you sure it's not dangerous? Also, are you sure that the death of the interstellar plant is really caused by this stone? It's filled with that kind of aura. It should be this small stone. This is the first time I've seen such a good-looking little Shirtu. It's not bad to keep him as a collector's item. Tangua wiped little Shirtu clean and was about to put it in her pocket when a voice suddenly sounded in her ear. My name is not little Shirtu. I'm Xinyao. The voice wasn't loud. It sounded like a little boy's voice. It sounded like he was about her age. Xinyao? Yes, my name is Xinyao. This time, Tangua heard the source of the sound. It was from the small stone she was about to put into her pocket. She moved the stone under her line of sight and carefully observed it for a while. She touched it and said, "Are you this small stone?" Chapter 27:16. My name is Xinyao. Xinyao is a small rock? Yes. Tangua pondered for a moment and asked, Are you a rock spirit? There are ancient records that say that rocks can also become spirits. Are you a rock spirit? I think so. Then why are you here? The plants around are dying. Did you do it? I don't know why I'm here. Shen Yao's slightly childish voice sounded. I originally just wanted to use the power of this world to find the way home, but I don't know where the way home is. The power of this world seems to be insufficient. Even if I eat it all, there's no way to open the passage. After eating so much, I was barely able to transform into a human form. I'm considering whether to give up or eat this whole place. Tangua finally understood. It turned out that the withered plants were caused by this guy. He did it to absorb energy. Then have you thought it through? Do you plan to eat this place in one bite or give up? Shen Yao was silent for a moment before saying, I originally planned to swallow the power of this world in one bite, but then I panicked and gave up on the idea. My intuition tells me that if I eat this world, something bad will definitely happen. The system seemed to understand something and also knew why Shen Yao panicked. If he dared to swallow this place, he would never be able to see the great host again. How could he not panic? This guy was really unlucky. He turned into a cat, then a fish. This time, he even turned into a rock. He laughed himself to death. Then what do you plan to do now? You can't eat this world. Looking at you, it seems like you need to replenish your energy regularly or slowly swallow the power of this world. So I chose to return to my original form and sleep here. I'll try to reduce the use of energy. This way, I can stay here longer. Why must you stay here? You can either swallow this world or give up on treatment. In the next life, you'll be a good rock again. I don't know. Since you found me, Then take me away. Didn't you say that my appearance was not bad and that I could be a collector's item? Can you take me back and keep me? System. He seemed to have understood something. Only someone with a thick skin could stay by his wife's side without a change in expression. Tangwa said, "All right, I'll take you with me, but don't consume the power of this world without my permission in the future." "All right, I'll listen to you." System. What an innocent little boy. Oh no, little Shirtu. He was so easily coaxed. Absorbing the energy of this world seems to be related to your life and death. Why are you listening to me? Xinyao, I want to listen to you. You will die if you listen to me. I, Xinyao, am not afraid of death. Tangwa patted the rock. I think you want to die in my pocket. You're still so indecent even after becoming a rock. Xinyao, how is he not serious? He wasn't afraid of death in the first place. Now that there was someone to play with him, it was much better than staying here alone. Can you transform into a human now? I want to take a look. I'll try. Then, a little boy about 8 years old appeared in front of Tangwa. He was wearing black clothes and looked like a cute little boy. Sure enough, he had red lips and white teeth. He was very likable. Are you hungry? Shen Yao said uncomfortably, a little. He had been merciful all these years, which allowed this world to continue to survive. Actually, he was very hungry. He was so hungry that he was panicking. Chapter 27:17. If it wasn't for his control, this place would have long declined, and the humans would have almost died out. What Xin Yao didn't say was that he seemed to vaguely understand why he couldn't swallow this world. Once he revealed that kind of thought, he would panic. When this little girl appeared, he found the answer. Although it was unbelievable, he really seemed to be waiting for her to come, waiting for her to take him away. It was as if something was destined that she would come and take him away. You want to follow me? That's right. Xin Yao nodded. If he didn't follow her, who would he follow? When she appeared and picked him up, he decided to follow her, so he didn't resist. In that case, you'll be my rock from now on. Her rock? This was a little strange, but Xin Yao didn't refute it. He didn't feel that he was wrong. Since you're my rock, I'll provide your food in the future. The system felt that the host might want to empty the inventory in the system space. Basically, the host wouldn't use those things. She would probably let this guy eat them. Just as he thought this, a few jade boxes appeared in Tangwa's hand. Inside were thousands of years old lingji mushrooms and ginseng. Since you're my rock, I can't treat you badly. When the lingji mushrooms and ginseng were taken out, Xin Yao couldn't take his eyes off them. Sure enough, he made the right choice to follow this little girl. Tangwa took out a small bag and put the lingji mushrooms and ginseng into it, letting Xin Yao carry it himself. Then she stretched out her hand. Come, I'll take you away. Xin Yao held a ginseng in one hand and gnawed on it with relish. He quickly reached out his other hand and grabbed Tangwa's small hand. System. So easy to coax. You can fool a little boy with just a few words. The host is amazing. Tangwa brought Xin Yao back to the planet where the school organized the adventure. There wasn't much time, so the people in the school didn't notice anything unusual. However, they still felt strange about Xin Yao, who suddenly appeared beside Tangwa. Tangwa casually found an excuse. Because she was now the daughter of Lieutenant General He Ting, the teacher didn't dare to ask too much. During the adventure, Tangwa kept Xin Yao by her side. When it was over, she even brought him back. Everyone thought that Xin Yao was Tangwa's childhood friend. They even guessed that he was a junior from a prominent family who came to play with Tangwa. Tangwa brought Xin Yao home. He Ting was very busy every day and couldn't take care of these things. Because of Tangwa's rejection of him, he basically didn't care about Tangwa's matters. However, Tang Qianqian asked about Xin Yao. Tangwa explained, I thought he was quite pitiful and was so good-looking. It was a pity for him to be among the refugees, so I brought him back. So that's how it is. My Xiaogua is really a very kind little girl. Tang Qianqian was a little touched when she saw that her daughter had actually answered her question. Then, mother will arrange a room for him at home and let him stay there too? You can even play together. Thank you. Tangwa looked at Tang Qianqian happily decorating the room and shook her head. If Tang Qingru saw that she had brought a strange boy back, she would probably check all 18 generations of this little boy's ancestors in a short period of time. Her biological mother's heart was really big. No wonder she was still living happily even though things weren't very good. Chapter 27:18. However, this was also convenient for her. She didn't have to explain too much. Not only did Tang Qianqian help decorate the room, but she also knew that Xin Yao was a refugee. In order to please Tanggua, she even helped Xin Yao get an official status in the galaxy. This kind of thing was relatively easy for the current Tang Qianqian. Now, the entire empire protected her very well. They were afraid that she would be in danger and wouldn't even take a bit of her blood. They just let her help cultivate plants. All the plants she cultivated could grow very well. Tanggua knew that this was a special ability bestowed by the heavens to the chosen one. If Xin Yao didn't exist, Tang Qianqian wouldn't have such a powerful ability. She even secretly let Xin Yao try to absorb the life force of the plants Tang Qianqian cultivated at home. There's a mysterious power protecting these plants. Shen Yao's face was serious as he observed the potted plant in front of him. Can it be absorbed? You can absorb it after breaking this protective shield, but it won't be as easy as before. In the past, you just needed to swallow it in one gulp. Now, there's an additional process. So it was like this. The reason why Tang Qianqian's plants didn't die and could still grow healthily was because of the protective shield outside the plants. Shen Yao had only swallowed the life force of the plants in one gulp. He was so far away, so he definitely wouldn't have noticed this. Guegua, do you want me to swallow all these? Shen Yao looked at the potted plant in front of him and seemed to be drooling. He hadn't eaten this kind of plant protected by the energy shield before and didn't know how it tasted. Tanggua knocked his head and stuffed a ginseng into his mouth. Don't look so greedy. It's as if I didn't give you enough to eat. You can't swallow it now. In the future, I'll tell you to swallow it. She was looking forward to those people coming to catch her. If they dared to catch her, she would let Xin Yao out and swallow all the plants in their territory. System. A weak and helpless little system like him should just hide in a corner and tremble in fear. Ever since Tang Qianqian returned to the Universe Alliance Empire and married He Ting, she helped the Universe Alliance Empire cultivate countless plants. There were all kinds of vegetables and fruits, which solved the galaxy's biggest problem. The people of the Luo Alliance Empire couldn't sit still. Because of Tang Qianqian's appearance, they ignored the plants that had stopped withering. Although the plant's life force wouldn't recover immediately, as time passed, it wouldn't be worse than it was now. But those who saw the Universe Alliance Empire's situation couldn't sit still. Some space pirates, bandits, and the Luo Alliance Empire, they wanted to take Tang Qianqian back. At this moment, the news that Tanggua was Tang Qianqian and He Ting's daughter and that she might have that mysterious power was leaked out. S2's 2. If he could capture Tang Qianqian's daughter, even if he couldn't research anything, he could still negotiate with Tang Qianqian. Maybe he could get some benefits. T S to teat, T, est, T. Tang tut. Was. What about this little guy? Chapter 27:19. Checked. He's a kid born as a refugee. When we leave the main planet, we'll throw him out and let him perish on his own. Although it was said to perish on his own, it was actually not giving him a way out. No matter how powerful the interstellar members were, they couldn't survive for long in space without protective gear. Not to mention a really ordinary little boy. Tanggua and Xin Yao were locked in a room of the aircraft. This room naturally blocked any signals and didn't restrict them. After all, they didn't think that 2 7- or 8-year-old girls and a little boy could escape under such circumstances. Guegua, can I swallow them now? Xin Yao grabbed Tanggua's little hand. The little boy's face was serious, and there was a faint cold light in his eyes. It felt like a storm was coming. Tanggua clasped his palm, causing Xin Yao's serious expression to collapse. He couldn't restore the tense and scary look from before. Little stone, can you still eat people? I haven't eaten before, but it should be similar to absorbing the vitality of plants. Just swallow their vitality. As he spoke, Xin Yao nodded. I have a hunch that the vitality of humans should be more nutritious than that of plants. Tang Guo pulled her hand out and slapped him hard. Little stone, if you dare to eat people, I don't want you anymore. Then I won't eat them, Xin Yao said quickly. Then kill them. Just kill them. I won't eat them if they eat me. If he ate people, Guo Guo wouldn't like it. It was better not to eat them. Although the vitality of humans was more nutritious than that of plants, he didn't want to be abandoned by Guo Guo and become a lonely little stone. Tang Guo held his hand again. Now that you've turned into a stone and entered my pocket, they won't do anything to me for the time being. As for how to teach them a lesson, I've already thought of it. Listen to my instructions later. Xin Yao did as he was told and was extremely obedient. Guo Guo was right. Those people who provoked Guo Guo wouldn't have a good ending. The system was dumbfounded. During this period of time, it watched its host wander around with her little loyal dog every day. It was as if she was afraid that those people would not be able to find her. She even stood in a particularly conspicuous place, probably calculating every day when she would be caught. Tongzi, connect me to Emmanuel or Billy's signal. I want to talk to them. Okay, Madam Host. Emmanuel was the first to pick up the signal. Beauty, what's the situation? Have you been caught? Are we going to meet? Emmanuel, are you really happy that I was caught? Emmanuel was a little embarrassed. It's all because I was looking forward to meeting you. I knew that you would be fine, so I dared to hope that you would be caught. Of course, if you don't act according to the plan and meet us directly, I can't wait. Tang Guo said, as you wish, I've been captured. But I don't think the people who captured me are from the two allied empires. They're probably interstellar pirates or bandits. Then what do you need me to do? Tang Guo said, I'm just informing you. You don't have to do anything. I'll take care of it myself. Since they dared to kidnap me, they have to bear the consequences. I'm contacting you to inform you of something. What is it? Emmanuel felt that this should be very important. Otherwise, Tang Guo wouldn't have mentioned it alone. Chapter 2720. Tang Guo said, the crisis in the galaxy has been resolved. You don't have to worry about the plants dying anymore. However, don't tell anyone about this. Just tell Billy. I've told you about the plot, right? If the people from the Luo Luo Alliance come to capture me, I'll teach them a lesson. If you tell them about this, they won't come to capture me. Emmanuel. Was the school bell testing his character? Although they were all from the Luo Luo Alliance, the school bell was worrying too much. As long as the survival of the galaxy didn't happen, he couldn't be bothered to help those ambitious fellows. He might even laugh out loud when he saw them being unlucky. After getting Emmanuel's promise, Tang Guo was relieved. It wasn't that she didn't trust Emmanuel. She just wanted to share a piece of good news with him. Little Stone, who had caused the crisis in the galaxy, was in her hands. Whether the galaxy would be in danger or not was up to the little stone in her pocket. System. What do you mean by Little Stone has the final say? She was the one who had the final say. Little Stone still listened to her. This woman became a loli. She was also a bad loli. She was a bad loli who led the little Shota astray. Regarding the sudden disappearance of Xin Yao, those people were indeed surprised. They searched for a long time and guarded Tang Guo even more strictly. After Tang Guo was taken away, Tang Qianqian came back and learned about it. She was so anxious that she cried. She grabbed He Ting's sleeve and asked him to look for her. Tang Qianqian was very important. Hence, He Ting sent many people to look for her. In the end, they captured Tang Guo being taken out of the main planet. They followed the signal and found that the other party's aircraft wasn't flying towards the territory of the two empires. Instead, it was flying out of their territory. This made He Ting feel troubled. Tang Qingru knew about this. Since she didn't have any special missions, she came to find He Ting. After knowing the direction in which Tang Guo was taken, she turned around and was about to leave. The place Xiao Guo was taken to is within the territory of the Luo Luo Alliance. It doesn't belong to the Luo Luo Alliance or the Universe Alliance. Don't go there alone. You won't be able to save Xiao Guo. He Ting stopped her. Tang Qingru turned around. If we can't save her, then we won't go? Tang Qingru looked at Tang Qianqian, who had fainted from crying in He Ting's arms. You don't look nervous at all. As expected, this daughter isn't very important to you. Don't stop me. Tang Qingru left and chased in the direction where Tangguo was taken. Ting frowned. He felt that Tang Qingru had completely lost her composure and had become impulsive. After Tang Qianqian woke up, her eyes turned red again. She told Ting to find Tangguo no matter what. Ting had no other choice but to agree. No matter what they ask for, you guys agree to it. They're probably after me. As long as they're willing to release Xiaoguo, you can use me in exchange. Of course not. Ting denied it in his heart. Even if he agreed, no one else would agree, let alone him. However, Ting still agreed verbally. He also sent people to check out the situation. However, he didn't directly send people to the chaotic star system. That place was like a tiger's den, and the people there were vicious and merciless. If the people of the Empire went there, it would be very easy for them to lose their lives, and there was no way for them to return. He couldn't let so many people sacrifice themselves for no reason just because of a little girl. At this moment, Tangguo had already been brought into the range of Luanxing, so she was still unaware of the situation here. When she entered the range of the chaotic stars, she heard many people cheering. She touched the divine Yao in her pocket and said, "Little Shirtu, you can slowly swallow them. When the sky turns dark, you can swallow them in big mouthfuls. Swallow all the plants in the range of the chaotic stars. Swallow them until you're full." Chapter 27-21. After hearing Tangguo's words, Shen Yao didn't hold back anymore. He started with the edge of the chaotic stars. The plants that were swept by him started to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye. They didn't have time to do anything to Tangguo for the time being. They just locked her up in a very secure place and gave her 2 nutritional supplements. She didn't cry or make a fuss, which made the people who took her even more vigilant. Even if she was locked up in a secure place, many people were arranged to guard the door, not giving her any chance to escape. The leader of this group had already gathered and was discussing what to do with Tangguo. Should they use her to negotiate with the Cosmic Alliance Empire, or should they use this little girl for experiments? I think it's better to have the best of both worlds. On one hand, let people study this little girl's genes and mental strength. On the other hand, send people to negotiate with the people of the Cosmic Alliance Empire. I think that even if Tang Qianqian agrees to the exchange, those people won't let her go. Therefore, we can slowly back off and let them give us fresh plants in the end. Stall for time, maybe we can get some useful genes from this little girl. This little girl is just cooperating with us to do a little experiment. It's fine as long as we don't kill her. Everyone agreed with the leader's words. They didn't care about the little girl's life or death. They were just afraid that if she really died, it would bring them trouble and they wouldn't get any benefits. So, when they told the researchers, they said several times that they could do any experiment. They would do everything they could to find useful information from the little girl. However, the only requirement was that she had to be alive. As long as she was alive, it would be fine. Speaking of which, there were no restrictions on the researchers' behavior at all. It was these cruel people who destroyed the original owner of the body, who had already been subjected to a mental strength experiment, and slowly turned her into a useless person. In the end, she was taken away without any ability to resist. After some discussion, these people decided to send Tangguo to the laboratory tomorrow to cooperate with the experiment. At the same time, they would send people to negotiate with the Cosmic Alliance Empire to get benefits. Capturing Tang Qianqian's daughter was a great thing. So, on this night, countless people in the chaotic stars area cheered. In truth, there were countless forces that existed within the chaotic star system. But this time, they were snatching people from the powerful allied empire, so they chose to work together for the sake of mutual benefits. Now that the Universe Alliance Empire had Tang Qianqian, perhaps they would have a Tangguo like Tang Qianqian in the future. Even if Tangguo did not have that kind of ability, she was Tang Qianqian's daughter. It was enough for them to do something. After they drank and cheered, they gradually fell asleep in the dark night. He was completely unaware that in the instant the sky darkened, in the area of the chaotic stars, From the outside to the center, large patches of plants began to wither and die without any warning. It wasn't until dawn that Tangwa heard a burp coming from her pocket. She couldn't help but giggle. "Little Shirtu, you're full this time, ah. I can even hear you burping." "Guagua, you heard wrong." Shin Yao felt a little embarrassed. It had been a long time since he had eaten so much at once. Chapter 27-22. Absorbing the life force of all the plants in Wanxing in one night indeed made him feel satisfied and a little full. He subconsciously burped. Unexpectedly, Tangwa happened to hear it. This made him feel a little embarrassed. Tangwa took out Divine Yao. After eating so much, Divine Yao's body had indeed changed. Although it was smooth and beautiful before, it wasn't as deep as the patterns on the stone now. There were even more patterns. "Little stone, how did you come to this place?" "I don't know. My memory is very vague and I can't remember much. I only vaguely remember that something happened and I rolled into this world from another place. The two worlds are very far apart and the wall is very thick. If you don't have enough power, you can't break through the space and go back. Do you want to go back?" "I used to want to." "You don't want to anymore?" "Divine Yao, I don't want to anymore. It's good to stay with Guagua. It's very difficult to go back. Even if I swallow this world, I might not be able to open it. Also, I think it's not that important whether I go back or not." "Then have you ever thought that if you don't go out, you will die? There's no power here that you need. Eating the life force of the plants can only maintain what you need. If you don't eat that life force, you will slowly turn into a real stone and die. Then if I die, will Guagua throw me away?" Tangwa was amused. What kind of brain circuit was this? He was about to die, but he was still worried about whether she would throw him away. He really turned into a stone and his brain was also petrified. "Little stone, you're quite good-looking. Why would I throw you away? As long as Guagua doesn't throw me away and keeps me in her pocket, it's okay even if I die. Even if I die, I can still be by Guagua's side." Saying that he was a piece of rock was quite nice. "Don't worry, I still have a lot of stock here. It's enough for you to eat." In every world she went to, she would collect many things that she could use, but in fact, she basically didn't know how to use them. Now, she could empty them and give them all to this stone to eat. Because the original owner's spiritual power was severely damaged in this world, she couldn't cultivate anymore. Although his lifespan was still very long, it was only the lifespan of an ordinary interstellar person, about 200 years. In addition to Tang Qianqian's stubbornness, the original owner lived to 300 years old, which was a very long time. There were different levels of spiritual power. The stronger one's spiritual power, the longer one could live. Therefore, people like Bill could easily live for thousands of years without any problem. Even if the stock she brought with her had been eaten by this little rock, the interstellar space had already recovered, and Tang Qianqian was constantly cultivating plants, so she wasn't afraid that the little rock would starve to death. "Guagua, do you want to teach those people a lesson? I heard them talking about sending you to the laboratory tomorrow to conduct experiments on you. I think we should just kill them all. They're not good people." "No, if we kill them, who will cause trouble for the two allied empires? Without these bandits, there will be friction between the two alliances. Let them stay." It was because of this group of bandits that the two allied empires didn't dare to have any conflicts and fight. Once he did that, the bandits would take the opportunity to invade and cause chaos in the interstellar space. Chapter 27-23. I'm a peace-loving person. I don't really like war. A lot of people die in war, you know? Shin Yao didn't really understand. He felt that anyone who bullied Guagua should be killed. However, he didn't refute Tangwa's words. Since Guagua had said so, he wouldn't do anything in secret to avoid angering her. Tangwa didn't know what Shin Yao was thinking. Through the photos sent back by the system, she saw that all the plants in the area around the chaotic stars had withered. She was in a good mood. At dawn, something big happened in the chaotic stars. All the plants withered and lost their vitality. There wasn't a single green leaf in the bandits' area. The bandits panicked. At first, they thought that the same thing had happened in the entire galaxy. But soon, they realized that it wasn't the case. That night, only the chaotic stars had such a situation. The withered plants in the chaotic stars had created a huge mess in the entire galaxy. They even suspected that the virus had been brewing for so long that it was going to erupt all at once. Emergency precautions had been taken everywhere. Perhaps only the Cosmic Alliance Empire, which had Tang Chanxian, wasn't so anxious. After all, the plants cultivated by Tang Chanxian could thrive in those harsh environments. Although such a big thing had happened, the bandits' previous decision hadn't changed. However, the people they sent to the Cosmic Alliance Empire to negotiate added some conditions to the content of the negotiation. On the other hand, Tangguo was taken to the laboratory early in the morning. Just like before, these people were going to do blood research on her. However, they were far more anxious than the people of the Cosmic Alliance Empire. After drawing her blood, they began to experiment on her spiritual power. Anyway, it was fine as long as she could live, right? This sealed laboratory was similar to the one she had been in before. Around her, 7 or 8 experimenters with powerful mental powers surrounded Tangguo. Her small body was fixed to the bed. Her wrists, ankles, and neck were all locked to the bed. The material used was the strongest in the galaxy. Even He Ting, who had strong spiritual power and a strong physique, couldn't break free from this experimental bed. Guegua, can you just kill these few? Shen Yao couldn't sit still anymore. He was so angry that he wanted to devour the life force of these people. No, I'll teach them a lesson later. What's the rush? Don't let it fall out of your pocket. If they find out, you'll be thrown out. Hearing this, Divine Yao's real body hurriedly shrank into the pocket, afraid that it would fall out and be thrown out. While these experimenters were using their mind power on Tangguo, the people sent by the bandits to negotiate with the Cosmic Alliance Empire also met up with them. Regardless of whether it was He Ting or the president of the Great Universe Alliance Empire, they both wanted to keep this matter a secret. They definitely couldn't let Tang Chanxian know about it. Tang Chanxian had not recovered recently because of the incident with Tangguo. They were afraid that Tang Chanxian would not cooperate with them after knowing about this matter. At that time, it would cause them trouble and they would be at a disadvantage during the negotiation. He was more afraid that Tang Chanxian would do something against the empire in order to save Tangguo. The current Tang Chanxian was protected by many people all day long, and they almost never left her side. Chapter 27-24. Because Tangguo was taken away, it was a huge blow to her. Her eyes were red in the villa, and she couldn't help but cry when she thought of what had happened. She didn't know that the two sides were already negotiating. There was another person, Tang Qingru, who had already sneaked into the area of Luanxing. She disguised herself a little, making herself look more like someone from Luanxing, and secretly asked about Tangguo's situation. Because so many things had happened, especially the matter of the plants dying, the people of Luanxing were in a mess, and they didn't realize that Tang Qingru had already sneaked in. And the group of people who had conducted the spiritual power experiment on Tangguo had already fainted in the laboratory. Of course, she had also fainted, and her face was also extremely pale, almost scaring Shen Yao. It's fine, I'm pretending, don't make a fuss. If I don't pretend, they will suspect that there's something wrong with me. Oh, Guogua is really fine? If there was something wrong with me, would I still talk to you so casually? After turning into a stone, her brain was indeed not so smart, and she looked stupid. Guogua, are we leaving now? Leaving for what? I'm still waiting for them to conduct the next experiment on me. I just had a meal, so I'm so full I need to digest it. Shen Yao, he really worried too much? 7 or 8 laboratory staff had all lost their spiritual power and become useless people, which shocked everyone in the laboratory. They hurriedly went to check on Tangguo's situation and found that her spiritual power was also very damaged. Therefore, they thought that the experiment this time must have been a mistake made by those researchers. They didn't suspect Tangguo at all and completely didn't know that Tangguo was pretending to be damaged, but was actually digesting the spiritual power that she had swallowed before. She was actually a peace-loving person, and under normal circumstances, she wouldn't do such a crazy thing. But this was something that they had taken the initiative to deliver, so she wouldn't be polite. In the short term, the laboratory no longer planned to conduct any research on Tanggua's spiritual power. Luan Xing's situation now was more serious than they thought. Even if they had some refrigerated things before, they would be used up very quickly. It was impossible to make a deal with two empires. The other party couldn't wait for them to be destroyed. There were only 3 ways to supply them with what they needed. Firstly, if there were enough benefits, there would definitely be people who would agree. Second, go to those small planets and seize resources. This wasn't easy, and they could only do one job. The weapons of 2 empires weren't to be trifled with. Third, he got it from Tang Qianqian. If he wanted to get it from Tang Qianqian, Tanggua naturally became very important. They don't seem to want to experiment on me anymore. Shen Yao could tell that Tanggua's tone was a little disappointed. They came all the way here and only swallowed the spiritual energy of 7 or 8 people. They really disappointed me. Shen Yao, there should be many other places that want to capture Guogua. When the time comes, Guogua will be able to swallow more. If Guogua really wants to eat them, why don't I catch them for you? System, dear host, you really didn't raise this loyal little dog for nothing. No, if it doesn't resist, it won't taste good. It's only interesting if it's very active and automatically delivered to my mouth. I like to see their panicked and helpless expressions as I swallow their spiritual energy in a daze. System, oh my God, little pervert. Chapter 27-25. What do you want? Actually, you won't be able to get anything from that little girl, Tanggua. You should have heard that we did similar research on her before. Don't you know what we want? Tang Qianqian. The person negotiating with the bandits was Lu Xiaoyang. He maintained a smile on his face. You should know that we can't hand Tang Qianqian over to you. It's not just because of her abilities, but also her identity. We can't use the wife of a lieutenant general to exchange for her. If news of this spread out, it would be detrimental to the reputation of the empire. It would easily affect people's hearts. Lu Xiaoyang shook his head. Change your request. We can still consider it. You better not go overboard. We won't bring danger to the entire empire just because of a 7 or 8-year-old girl. The negotiator on the bandits' side sneered. Don't forget that the girl is Tang Qianqian's daughter. If you don't save her, won't you be hurting Tang Qianqian's heart? After she knows the truth, will she still be willing to work for you? You can't even protect her daughter. She might hold a grudge and do something. It'll be too late for you to regret. Tell us your conditions. There's no need to sow discord. If your conditions really threaten the survival of the entire empire, I think Madam He will understand and respect our decision. In order to apologize to her, we can only do our best to send He Zhongjiang to avenge her daughter. The people on the bandits' side immediately understood. The other party wouldn't agree to exchange Tang Qianqian. Actually, they didn't have much hope. They were just testing the waters. All right, then we'll change our conditions. This time, the bandits requested a certain amount of fruits and vegetables, as well as plant seedlings. The amount was huge. They didn't need to give it all at once. They could give it slowly. We won't make things difficult for you. We know that you won't be able to give it all at once. That's why we want you to give it slowly. We'll take care of Miss Tang for now and talk to you regularly. If necessary, we'll also agree to meet Madam He. Lu Xiaoyang stopped smiling. That's too much. You can think about it and give me an accurate number. I think this request is reasonable. There's no need to think about it. 7th young master, this is our bottom line. Lu Xiaoyang glanced at He Ting's expression and didn't see any reaction. He lowered his head and thought for a while before asking He Ting, Lieutenant General He, what do you think? Should we agree to their conditions? It's too much. He Ting expressed his thoughts without hesitation. That huge number was simply robbing. Lu Xiaoyang shrugged. If they really don't change their words, we have no choice but to agree. After all, she is Madam He and Lieutenant General He's daughter. He Ting clenched his fists. Tanggua had to be rescued. However, giving out such a huge number was actually very difficult for the entire empire. If he didn't, Tang Qianqian would definitely complain to the empire once she found out. Later on, They discussed it again, but the bandits did not relent at all. It was as if they were certain that they would win. Lu Xiaoyang, then give us 3 days to consider. 3 days later, Lu Xiaoyang agreed to their conditions. However, the hesitant empire wasn't doing well these days, so they couldn't take out that much for the first batch. Chapter 27-26. In fact, he had already planned to stall for time. He would only give them a little bit each time. Did they think that he didn't know that all the plants around the chaotic stars had died? Those people wouldn't kill Tanguo for the fruits and vegetables in their hands. Under such circumstances, the chaotic stars would only become more and more difficult. As for what would happen to Tanguo, he didn't care. It was fine as long as she was alive. Seventh young master, aren't you being too insincere? Although Tang Qianqian is here, she's just one person. She's not a god. Do you really think that she can make a lot of plants appear with a wave of her hand? We've already done our best to give you these plants. Lu Xiaoyang snorted. If it was someone else, we wouldn't have compromised at all. We wouldn't have given you such precious fruits and vegetables under such circumstances. But the plants you gave us look yellow and have no water. They won't grow well in the future. We don't even know when they'll be able to grow. Of course, the plants they picked were all eliminated. They weren't cultivated by Tang Qianqian. They were just weeds that were plucked from some corner of the empire. Lu Xiaoyang snorted in his heart. You want the plants cultivated by Tang Qianqian? Dream on. I've already said that Tang Qianqian is just one person. She only has low-level spiritual power. How much spiritual power do you think she has to cultivate plants? Recently, because that little girl Tanguo was taken away by you, she hasn't been working for many days. She's been in low spirits all day long. The seedlings she's giving you now are all nurtured by her while crying. If this continues, she'll become a cripple. At that time, the entire interstellar will be finished. The bandits were unwilling to accept this. They didn't believe that it was so serious. However, there was only one Tang Qianqian. It was impossible for her to cultivate a large number of plants in a short time. This was something he could accept. No matter what, now that Tanguo was in their hands, they could continuously ask the Empire of the Universe Alliance for things in the future. Even if it was a little less each time, they could still hold on for a while. Even if they couldn't fully believe Lu Xiaoyang's words, they didn't intend to expose him. They didn't want to fall out with him. After the bandits left, Lu Xiaoyang said to He Ting, Lieutenant General He, you should know that it's not that I'm not willing to exchange good things with them. You know better than me what kind of people they are. Once you take out something good, they will demand an exorbitant price. If they agree, they will immediately go back on their word. They will never be satisfied. The method I'm using now is the result of my careful consideration. If we give them the trashiest things of our empire bit by bit, they will understand that our empire's situation isn't as good as it seems. I understand. Of course, He Ting knew that even if he gave these bandits good stuff, they wouldn't let Tanguo go. They had such a big appetite from the start and couldn't be spoiled. Right now, we're just stalling for time. I've already secretly sent people to the chaotic star region to gather information. However, that place was a dragon's lair and a tiger's den. He had to be careful. As for whether he could save her or not, he could only leave it to fate. In this kind of situation, giving them a little bit can still save your daughter's life. So, Lieutenant General He, you'll have to explain more to Madame He so that she won't hold a grudge against us. I understand, seventh young master. He Ting didn't feel that Lu Xiaoyang was wrong. Those bandits were like this. They were already extremely benevolent to do this. Those bandits were all vicious people. Their appetites couldn't be satisfied. Tang Qianqian knew that Tanguo was temporarily safe and heaved a sigh of relief. Then when will Xiaoguo be back? He won't be back for now. They won't let Xiaoguo go so easily. However, seventh young master and I have secretly sent people to gather information. In fact, after knowing what happened in the chaotic star region, he had already planned with Lu Xiaoyang whether they could take advantage of this time to eliminate some of the forces in the chaotic star region. There weren't many opportunities like this. Then, can I meet Xiaoguo? Wait a little longer. They promised to let Xiaoguo talk to you. Tang Qianxian pulled herself together. She knew that those bandits had taken many things from the empire. She immediately went to the laboratory and started cultivating plants. She even told Lu Xiaoyang to give them some good stuff so that they could treat her daughter well. Lu Xiaoyang couldn't help but laugh at her silly look. He Ting had a strange feeling in his heart when he saw this. Chapter 27:27. Tang Qianxian began to cultivate plants day and night. She even chased after Lu Xiaoyang to ask how much they wanted in exchange for her daughter. Lu Xiaoyang told her an astronomical number, which made Tang Qianxian a little sad. However, we've already discussed and agreed to give slowly. They also agreed that they won't harm Miss Tang. In a few days, they should let Miss Tang talk to Madame He. Tang Qianxian calmed down and wiped away her tears. Then I'll cultivate more plants and get Xiaogua back as soon as possible. Madam He, thank you for your hard work. I've already arranged for people to wait at the side. If you need anything, just tell them. Lu Xiaoyang looked at the haggard Tang Qianxian and didn't want anything to happen to her. No matter what, Madam He, you still have to take care of your body. If you can't even take care of yourself, how can you save Miss Tang? Hearing this, Tang Qianxian didn't dare to be careless about her body. Even her work and rest schedule became more regular. However, when she was awake, she was helping to cultivate plants. Because Tang Qianxian was trash, her family head had many lovers. Her spiritual power was trash, so she wasn't valued in the first place. She didn't receive the cultivation of interstellar elites. In addition, she wasn't a smart person. Thus, she didn't understand that in negotiations, neither the Universe Alliance Empire nor the bandits from Luanxing would give in easily, even if the Universe Alliance Empire seemed to be at a disadvantage. In fact, with Tang Qianxian as a bargaining chip, they would always be at an advantage. However, the bandits from Luanxing also understood how important Tanggua was to Tang Qianxian, so they wouldn't easily take Tanggua's life. Similarly, the people from the Universe Alliance Empire shouldn't think that they had a huge bargaining power. The bandits were very clear that they couldn't let Tanggua go no matter what. As long as Tang Qianxian still cared about Tanggua, they could take things from the Universe Alliance Empire. Even if it was a little less every time, it was still there. There were some things that both sides were aware of, but they couldn't break the agreement for the time being. The bandits took things while thinking of making deals with those big families. On the other hand, the Universe Alliance Empire was giving out things while also planning to eradicate this evil force. At least, they had to teach them a lesson. As for Tanggua, she was not that important in their eyes. If something really happened to Tanggua, it would be the fault of the Galactic Bandits. They had already done their best, so the only people Tang Qianxian hated were those bandits. Now that Tang Qianxian was trying her best to cultivate the plants, the biggest beneficiary was actually the Universe Alliance Empire. The things that were given to the bandits were just some stock, some inferior goods. However, Tang Qianxian didn't know this. Chapter 27:28. However, he had been observing Tang Qianxian's actions. Gradually, he started to have different feelings for this woman. Every time Tang Qianxian cried and fainted in his arms, it would make his heart twitch. Occasionally, he would go to the laboratory to check on Tang Qianxian. When he saw that she was so tired that she was sleeping, he would take her away. Tang Qianxian could clearly feel that He Ting was treating her differently. However, she had temporarily forgotten about love. No matter what, she only wanted to cultivate more plants and bring her daughter back as soon as possible. You don't have to work so hard. You have to take care of your body. Xiaogua will be fine for now. The plants in the chaotic stars have all withered. Those bandits have nowhere else to go. They can only rely on us now. You can take your time. No, it's in the hands of those people. Who knows if the other party will suddenly do something bad? If I don't bring Xiaogua back, I won't feel at ease. Even at home, Tang Qianxian did not forget to cultivate the plants. Basically, every time she did it, she had to exhaust her mental strength before she could truly stop. It has been 3 days. Didn't you let me talk to Xiaogua? Tang Qianxian looked at He Ting. When can I talk to Xiaogua? I will ask them tomorrow and urge them. He Ting. Tang Qianqian suddenly grabbed He Ting's sleeve. She looked at He Ting with her thin face. No matter what, you have to save Xiaogua. I only have one daughter. She has not been by my side since she was young. Something bad even happened because of me. I have let her down. He Ting, you have to bring Xiaogua back safely. As long as Xiaogua is back, I will give them as much as they want. He Ting agreed. As long as the plan was successful and the bandits were eradicated, Xiaogua would naturally be saved. Dear host, those bandits brought back a new batch of plants from the Cosmic Alliance Empire. However, the growth is not very good. The system secretly told Tangua the news it had gathered. Got it. How is the situation over there? I connected to the Cosmic Alliance Empire's network. Through the camera, I saw that your mother was cultivating plants with all her might other than eating and sleeping. She thought that by nurturing more plants, she would be able to get you back sooner. Speaking of this, the system snorted, not at Tang Qianqian, but at Lu Xiaoyang and He Ting. They are all lying to her, but she still foolishly believes them. Also, I realized that He Ting seems to be a little moved by the host's biological mother. He has fallen in love with her foolishness. However, those people were afraid that there would be problems with her body, so they still took good care of her. It's just that she's always wanted to get more plant sprouts so that she could exchange you with Lu Xiaoyang and the others. Indeed, it was not Lu Xiaoyang who leaked the information about Tangua. He wasn't that stupid. The news from before wasn't hidden. It wouldn't be easy to find out who leaked it and let the bandits know about it. However, the system felt that the host would never let Lu Xiaoyang go. Help me find out who the heirs of the Cosmic Alliance Empire are. Now it seemed that He Ting had become Lu Xiaoyang's right-hand man. With her around, these two people wouldn't succeed. Chapter 27-29. In any case, the Cosmic Alliance Empire would be controlled by someone else in the future. She might as well choose this person and push Lu Xiaoyang out. The system hurriedly checked the information of those people. This person definitely couldn't be involved in anything that harmed the host and the original owner. It would be best if this person had a grudge with Lu Xiaoyang and wasn't on good terms with the current president. After all, if Lu Xiaoyang didn't have the backing of the president, would he dare to do such a thing? The person chosen had to have a bad relationship with the president. Otherwise, it would go against the original intention of changing the person. The system felt that with the president's many lovers, it would be able to find one or two suitable candidates. Even if they were trash, it wouldn't matter. After all, the host was here. Meanwhile, late at night, Tangua touched the divine sparrow in her pocket. I heard that they brought back a batch of seedlings from the Cosmic Alliance Empire. Little Stone, you have supper tonight. Don't be shy and eat them all. Okay, Guogua. Although he wasn't very hungry, he ate everything when Guogua said he would. After one night, the seedlings that the bandits had carefully taken care of had all withered. This made them pale with fright. They didn't suspect that the Cosmic Alliance Empire was behind this. Instead, they suspected that the area around the chaotic stars had been invaded by the virus and that the plants couldn't survive. When this thought came to mind, they fell into despair. Where they lived, they could not see a single plant. If the entire galaxy was like this, then so be it. However, they heard that this was only the case around the chaotic stars. The bandits fell into panic and despair. In the end, they remembered their trump card, Tangua. They planned to use Tangua to negotiate with the Cosmic Alliance Empire again. However, things didn't go well this time. The Cosmic Alliance Empire rejected their request for seedlings. I remember that you took a lot of them a few days ago. Do you think that you can do whatever you want with that little girl in your hands? If you really want to use this method to obtain an endless supply of plants and cause the entire empire to fall into danger, then we can only regretfully give up on that little girl. Lu Xiaoyang said, we can only apologize to Madame He for this. I believe that she will forgive us. If the bandits forced her like this, even if something happened to Tangua, Lu Xiaoyang was confident that Tang Qianqian would hate these bandits instead of him. I advise you all to follow the terms of the previous negotiations. If you offend Madame He, we won't be able to persuade her. We don't know what kind of decision she will make. The bandits had no choice but to give up on this option. After returning, they conducted a blood test on Tangua and experimented on her spiritual power. Guagua, are you full today? Their spiritual power should be very strong. Shen Yao's voice reached Tangua's ears. I don't think they'll send anyone to conduct any more psychic experiments on you. Last time, they had lost 8 experimenters. This time, they had lost more than 10 experimenters. Moreover, Guagua even pretended that her mental strength was damaged and that she was unconscious. Even Shen Yao felt that his face was a little hot. He really knew how to talk. He had almost believed him. He had been a little anxious before. The bandits really didn't want to experiment on Tangua's psychic power. Chapter 2730. In particular, her dispirited and listless appearance made them feel worried. They were afraid that if they killed her, they wouldn't be able to exchange for anything. After putting Tangua aside for the time being, they focused on looking for the plant seedlings. But they didn't know that Tang Qingru, who had been waiting for an opportunity, had appeared and successfully took Tangua away. At this time, Tangua was already sitting on Tang Qingru's aircraft. The aircraft had driven out of the range of Luanxing 10 minutes ago. Tang Qingru didn't dare to fly directly in the direction of the Great Universe Alliance. Instead, she first went to the Luo Alliance Empire. Halfway there, she changed directions. That way, it wouldn't be easy to be discovered. Moreover, she had installed a signal jammer on the aircraft. However, this kind of thing could only be used for a while. If someone wanted to capture the signal, it wouldn't be of much use. You don't look well. When you go back, you need to recuperate well. Don't use your spiritual power for the time being. Otherwise, it will be very harmful to you. This recuperation will take at least a year. Those classes will have to be postponed. Got it, ma? Hearing Tangua call her mom, Tang Qingru's somewhat cold face eased a lot. If you feel tired, go to sleep. When you wake up, you'll be home. I'm not tired. I thought I'd never be able to go back. System, host is lying to Xiaogo again. Shen Yao, why is Guagua lying so much at such a young age? But Guagua is also quite cute when she lies. System, she really is a piece of rock with no moral integrity. No matter what, don't give up on yourself. I'll come and save you. But only Mom will come and save me. Dad and the others won't be worried about me, right? Tang Qingru paused and said, although your dad won't be worried about you and doesn't care about your life or death, your other mother has been working hard for you to go back. Xiaogua, Tang Qianqian is your biological mother. She's different from your father. Although she's a bit weak and doesn't have strong spiritual power or martial strength, she's good to you. Tang Qingru felt that this child was a bit pitiful. The people of the two families basically didn't care about her life or death. The only two people who cared about her were probably her and Tang Qianqian. Tang Qianqian was the child's biological mother. Although she was a little silly, she treated the child well. It was better not to have any grudges against her. With Tang Qianqian's current status, it was not a problem for her to be careful and protect the child. Last time, many people had been careless. It was also her fault for not thinking things through. She thought that everything would be fine, and that was why they had taken advantage of her. Tangua nodded, agreeing with Tang Qingru's words. She didn't have any opinions about Tang Qianqian to begin with. Putting aside the fact that Tang Qianqian was lovey-dovey, she was actually not bad. However, she was a little girl, so she had to be a little more normal. Tang Qingru was satisfied when she saw that Tangua listened to her. She didn't want the little girl she had watched grow up to hate her heartless father and implicate her biological mother who had treated her well. There was nothing wrong with having one more person to love this child. Moreover, there were too few people who truly cared about this child. She hoped that this child would grow up to be a responsible, emotional person who could distinguish right from wrong. Tang Qingru relaxed a little as they gradually left the area of the chaotic stars. She thought that things would go smoothly, but she didn't expect that as soon as they flew into the territory of the Luo Alliance Empire, there would be countless battleships around them. Chapter 2731. The warships surrounded her aircraft and there was no way to escape. At this moment, she looked calm. She touched Tangua's head and whispered, "Looks like we can't go home for the time being. Xiaogua, I've tried my best." When she was surrounded by these warships, she understood that no matter which direction she flew in, she would eventually be surrounded by them. "Colonel Tang, we've been waiting here for a long time. If it's convenient, Colonel Tang might as well come with us and have a cup of tea before leaving. After traveling for so long, I think you're tired. Stop and rest. I've already ordered someone to arrange your and Miss Tang's rooms. In that case, I'll accept your invitation." Colonel Tang is indeed a person who understands the situation. Tang Qingru held Tangua's hand and went into the other party's warship. She looked at An Lin in front of her. "How long have you been watching me?" "Colonel Tang, you've misunderstood. I'm not a peeping Tom, and my heart belongs to someone, so I haven't been watching you. However, I was afraid that I would miss you, so I chose to arrange for people to wait for you at various places. I believe that as long as Colonel Tang is still alive, we will definitely meet." Tang Qingru's expression didn't change. Prince An Lin is really a persistent person. An Lin laughed and invited Tang Qingru in. He had long heard that Tang Qingru was a woman who was stubborn. It was impossible to reason with her. She might not be afraid of anything he threatened her with. Before this, he was really a little afraid that this woman wouldn't be willing and would rather fight him to the death. His gaze landed on Tangua. She was a very good-looking girl. Her eyes were bright and clear, and she was very likable at first glance. When he looked at Tangua, Tangua also looked at him. This was one of her biological mother's brainless fans. He was originally an ambitious person who would do anything for the sake of everything. He was also the only brainless fan whose IQ had increased after meeting her biological mother. In the end, he couldn't resist the halo of true love and chose to let go when his IQ was stable. At the same time, he was also a brainless fan who had a slightly better ending. Later on, he successfully took over the Luo Alliance Empire and would occasionally cause trouble for He Ting. Because she was Tang Qianqian's daughter, and Nailin, because she loved Tang Qianqian deeply, captured her and really did not intend to use her for experiments. He only had one goal, which was to let Tang Qianqian return to his side. However, Anilin's side was not a good place. There were people who wanted to curry favor with him, and there were also people who schemed against him. It was precisely because someone by his side betrayed him that she was stolen. The person who stole her threw her into the laboratory. Another experiment was carried out on her. This time, the experiment completely destroyed her spiritual power. This time, it was also the first time Nailin had suffered a big loss. He had been tricked miserably by his opponent and had even made Tang Qianqian hate him. However, Tangua felt that she deserved it. He said he deserved it for taking away a little girl. Qianqian's daughter is indeed a little elf. And Nailin squatted down. Because he was tall, he was just as tall as Tangua. Tangua looked at the other party at the same level and was not afraid at all. This made Nailin laugh again. He reached out to touch Tangua's head, but she dodged. And Nailin only smiled and did not do what he did before. "During this period of time, you can stay with me in peace. I will arrange for people to take good care of you." And Nailin turned and left, not making things difficult for the two of them. "Xiaogua, you should rest for a while." Tangua obeyed and went to rest. She was going to contact Emmanuel. Tangua said, "Emmanuel, let me tell you a piece of good news. School Beauty, have you been successfully kidnapped and brought to the Luo Alliance Empire?" Emmanuel said first. That's really great. I've been looking forward to this day for a long time." Tangua was speechless. Chapter 2732. That's right. You know the person who kidnapped me, An Lin. I'm already living in the room he arranged, as you wish. By the way, I can't connect to Billy's signal. Does he have a mission? Emmanuel, it's time for the aliens to reproduce. Their reproduction period is very fast. Billy should be very busy. He has to take people to many places to eradicate the eggs of those aliens. Try to nip them in the bud. This can save a lot of trouble. If we don't do this, when the mutants successfully reproduce, the number of soldiers who are fighting against them will increase by a lot. But they only dared to go to places that were relatively less dangerous. As for the base camp of the aliens, they didn't dare to go there either. Killing the eggs of the aliens was mainly done after spraying drugs and then burning them with fire. Coming back to his senses, Emmanuel continued the topic he was most concerned about. School beauty, when can we meet? You should be on the main planet soon, right? Can I see you when I go to Anlin? Should be, but we can't meet for the time being. I have to wait for something to happen. He was waiting for her to be kidnapped by Annelin's opponent and teach him an unforgettable lesson. The person who was going to kidnap her next should be Annelin's younger brother, Bert Chatterton. He was also an ambitious guy. Whether it was his birth or identity, he wasn't inferior to Anlin. But compared to Anlin, Bert was even more ruthless. He would do anything for his goals. There was no such thing as innocence in his eyes. Everyone around him was his tool, and he could make use of all of them. In the plot, he lost the game with Anlin because of people's hearts. He was a maverick, self-centered, unrighteous, and cruel. This made many people see that once Bert took over, it wouldn't be good for them. In the end, they all chose Anlin, who was actually slightly worse. In the plot, his people brought the original owner back and immediately experimented on her. First, they drew blood, then tested her genes, and then tested her mental strength. When the original owner's mental strength collapsed and she became a cripple, they didn't find any answers. They couldn't find an answer either. At this time, Bo Tay decided to let the people in the laboratory perform an autopsy on her body. However, they had to ensure that she was still alive. At the same time, they also suggested that they put plant seeds into her body to see if she could survive. Dear host, this Bert Chatterton person is really perverted. The system looked at the plot again. Although the cruel experiment on the original owner was stopped by Anlin in time, if Anlin didn't arrive in time, the original owner would really suffer. Host, hurry up and take care of this pervert. It's really disgusting. Even a 7 or 8-year-old girl could not bear to do such a thing. As a system, he could not stand it anymore. Tangwa, on the other hand, was quite calm. After traversing through countless worlds, she had encountered many perverts. It wasn't that he was numb to it, but that he had seen so much that he was able to face it calmly. Shen Yao had been in Tangwa's pocket the whole time. Knowing that Tangwa had been kidnapped again, he asked, Guogua, are you going to devour the vitality of plants next? For the past few days, he had been trying his best to digest so that he wouldn't have to swallow too much in the future. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to finish it in one go. Chapter 2733. No, this time, let's do something different. The corners of Tangwa's lips curled up. She took out Shin Yao from her pocket and touched his stone body. Let that bad guy experience what it's like to be an experimental subject. Like that kind of pervert, when the knife cuts his body, he will definitely scream in excitement. Shin Yao was a little confused by these words. But what he understood a little was that the bad guy Tangwa was talking about didn't seem to be Anyurin. He didn't know why he was so sure, but his intuition told him that it definitely wasn't Anyurin. Shen Yao secretly thought that whether it was Anyurin or not, if Guogua said that the other party was a bad guy, then the other party must be a bad leader. Is there anything I can help Guogua with? Shin Yao rolled around in Tangwa's hand and asked. He felt that he was quite powerful. For example, if he kept devouring the plants in this world, the world would be destroyed. But why did Guogua do everything so easily? He didn't seem to be able to help her much. He only helped her devour some plant life force last time. He still wanted to help her more, such as killing those bad guys who dared to bully Guogua. Sure enough, was Guogua too powerful? There was no need for him to do anything at all. Shen Yao actually wanted to transform into a human, but he was afraid of causing trouble for her. After all, she didn't let him transform into a human. Little stone, wait a few more days. When I'm snatched away, you can transform into a human and beat up those bad guys. Tangwa could guess a little bit of what Shin Yao was thinking. She could guess what he was thinking as soon as she thought about it. It was very easy to guess. Sure enough, after she finished speaking, she saw the stone roll twice in her palm, reminding her of the cat. Speaking of which, when that guy turned into a cat, he was very proud and almost didn't like to be touched by others. The only people who dared to touch him casually were probably her and her father. Tangwa was brought back to the main planet by Anurin and served with good food and drink. He didn't intend to send her to the laboratory. Colonel Tang and Miss Tang, don't be afraid. I won't do anything to you. I invited you here because I really want to see someone. When he recalled Tang Qianqian, a rare tenderness appeared in Anurin's ambitious eyes. That Oriental woman was the only one who moved his heart. Other than using her at the beginning, he really liked her later on. Even though he knew that she already had a daughter and was now married, he still liked her very much and was obsessed with her. If possible, he hoped that he could keep her this time. If he couldn't, then he could only regretfully choose another path. Although this was not what he wanted to see, other than being her admirer, he was also the eldest prince of the Luo Alliance Empire. In addition to being obsessed with the Oriental girl, he also cared about the power in his hands. Although he loved power and couldn't bear to part with it, he really didn't want to hurt her. If he couldn't get her, he would choose to give up and talk to her about other things. However, he hated that man called He Ting very much. Every time he saw him in the future, he would find trouble with that man, who asked him to be able to win the girl's heart. He really wanted to see her. Tangwa glanced at Anilin, who was staring into the distance in a daze, and shook her head. Her mother was really charming. How mesmerizing was she? She was even absent-minded when she spoke. And Neelan seemed to have noticed Tangwa's gaze. Little elf, you're staring at me. Do you think I'm good? Chapter 2734. Although you're indeed not bad-looking, I don't think you're good-looking. I've seen people who are more good-looking than you. Narcissist, she liked to attack narcissists the most. System. You make it sound like the host isn't narcissistic. Why did he remember that the host was the most narcissistic one? Oh, little elf, you've actually seen someone who's more good-looking than me. Who is it? Is it your father? And Nailin subconsciously thought of He Ting. He had the honor of meeting that man once. He was indeed very outstanding among the Oriental faces. Otherwise, Qianqian wouldn't have liked him. But after this sentence, Nailin felt that the atmosphere was not right. First, Tang Qingru's face darkened, and then the little elf who was smiling at him also stopped smiling, as if she didn't want to talk about this topic anymore. So, the person she said was not He Ting. He shouldn't have mentioned He Ting. They didn't seem to like him very much. He Ting was her father. Why didn't she like him? I said that the good-looking person is called Xin Yao. No one can compare to him. No one. Although she had to be angry on the surface, she couldn't stop praising her future boyfriend. It was easy to make her boyfriend sad if she kept half of it. Her boyfriend was still a little guy and was especially sensitive. She had to take care of his young and fragile heart. System, oh my God. He really didn't expect to be able to show off their love like this, praise people like this, and show off their affection for him like this. Host, that's enough. There had to be a limit to doting on people. She couldn't dote on them like this just because they were young, right? Shen Yao, who was rolling around in Tangwa's pocket, was still a little uneasy. When he heard Tangwa say that he was the most good-looking person, his body heated up. Guogwa said that he was the most good-looking and that no one could compare to him. Guogwa had good taste. What Guogwa said was definitely true. He was the most good-looking person Guogwa had ever seen. But the most good-looking person he had ever seen was only Guogwa. If the two of them were to be compared, Guogwa would be first and he would be second. Guogwa was still slightly better looking than him. Tangwa's hand had been in her pocket the whole time. The small stone suddenly heated up, and she almost couldn't hold back her laughter. This small stone couldn't stand the praise. It was just a few words of praise, but he was so embarrassed that he blushed. The stone was so hot, it must have blushed from embarrassment. Most people would say that a person's heart was as hard as a rock. She felt that the humans had misunderstood the stone. The stone was so shy, so it shouldn't be compared to having a hard heart. Divine Yao? Enlin was very curious. Who is Divine Yao? Are they also from your Cosmic Alliance Empire? So that's how it is. Little elf, can I know the identity of this person called Xin Yao? You said that he's very good-looking. I kind of want to see him right away. Anlin and Tangwa were actually trying to get some information about Tang Qianqian from her. He felt that it was still easy to get some information from the child. Shen Yao was picked up by me. If you have the chance in the future, you will meet him. Tang Qingru only found out about Shen Yao later. At the same time, she also secretly went to investigate. She didn't find anyone behind the little boy, nor did she find out that he was a spy trained by someone, so she didn't care. Now that she heard Tangwa talking about Shen Yao, she couldn't help but pay more attention to her. Perhaps she could also investigate that little guy called Shen Yao again. It was best if he didn't have any ill intentions. A few days later, Tangwa waited for the person who kidnapped her. Chapter 2735. Prince Aneurin, if anything happens to Xiaogua, I won't let you off. Even if I die, I'll bite off a piece of your flesh. Tang Qingru was furious. She had no way to escape before, so she followed Enrich here because she believed that Enrich was still capable and didn't intend to experiment on Tangwa, so she was a little relieved and didn't use any extreme means. In fact, she also knew that extreme methods might not necessarily succeed, so she planned to wait. If Aneurin's request was too much, she could take advantage of the other party's gaze on Tang Qianqian and secretly take Tangwa away again. In fact, this was her original plan. Aneurin's target was Tang Qianqian. As long as Tang Qianqian agreed to come over, all his attention would not be on Tangwa. It would be much easier for her to take away Tangwa, so she did not resist. However, a traitor appeared by Aneurin's side and took Tangwa away. Prince Aneurin, I hope you won't stop me. Also, send someone to find Xiaogua immediately. Tang Qingru frowned and the worry in her eyes could not be concealed. You care about Tang Qianqian, right? If Xiaogua is hurt, she will hate you. Aneurin's expression changed. I've already sent someone to find Miss Tang. This matter was indeed my negligence. Aneurin did not expect that the person hiding by his side would be able to hide for so many years and not be used once. That person was still someone by his side. In fact, he already had a guess who did it. Other than his ambitious brother, Bert, who else could have such a scheme? I promise that I will definitely find Miss Tang. Also, Colonel Tang, please do as you please. If you need anything, you can order the people here to do it. It was useless to stop Tang Qingru now. The main thing was that the people had been taken away, which gave Aneurin a headache. He silently prayed in his heart that nothing would happen to the beautiful little elf. No, Bert was cruel and heartless. He had to use all his forces to find the little elf as soon as possible. After a long time, she might be in danger. He couldn't imagine what the vicious and merciless Bert would do to such a beautiful elf. At this moment, Tang Qianqian still knew that Tangwa had been kidnapped by Bo Te. In fact, Anlin had sealed off the news after the incident, so very few people knew about it. On the Cosmic Alliance Empire's side, they were currently discussing Anlin's request to see Tang Qianqian. Of course, his initial request was for Tang Qianqian to personally go to the Luoluo Alliance Empire to bring Tangwa back. Everyone knew what it meant to make such a request, so everyone except Tang Qianqian objected. They were not willing to let Tang Qianqian go into that dangerous place. He Ting, have you thought of any ideas? It's been half a month. If you still haven't come up with a good idea, let me go and pick up Xiaogua. In fact, Tang Qianqian was relieved when Tangwa fell into Anlin's hands. Anlin was a true gentleman. Through their previous interactions, she believed that Anlin would not hurt Xiaogua. But there were many demons around Anlin. It was better to bring her daughter back to her side. Regardless of whether Anlin would hurt her or not, she was worried. However, everyone here stopped her and did not want her to go. They said that this was a conspiracy. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.